Well, that happened. Yeah, this is the Money in the Bank 2019 recap and review. Couple of weird quick notes to start off with. First off, on the kickoff show, where they normally have Booker T or Jerry Lawler, instead it was Charlie Caruso and Coach. So I guess they're just co-hosting now? Or Booker T and Lawler booked for what's the one at a Double or Nothing, Starcast. Sorry, I'm tired. And then tomorrow night on Raw, they're announcing a new championship for WWE, and Mick Foley is going to introduce it, which probably means they're going to bring back the hardcore title or some variation on that, which doesn't really make much sense to do hardcore wrestling in this PG era. I mean, unless they're going to start tilting the content up more. I mean, we've had some guys bleeding the last few weeks. Most of it has been hardway blood, but tonight we had quite a copious. We had a few guys also start bleeding, so maybe they are looking to ratchet it up a little bit more before SmackDown switches over to Fox. But I guess you can't say necessarily for sure. Anyway, let's get to the matches. Let's start with our kickoff show match. Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus the Usos. Now, Daniel Bryan and Rowan are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but this is not for those championships. Jimmy and Bryan open things up. Right off the bat, Corey Graves kept talking like this was a title match, and now, the Usos can't win this, they're on Raw, and then they're going to want to SmackDown. Well, who says if they win this they should get a SmackDown Championship match? Maybe they could use this to lobby for a Raw Championship match. Do you ever think of that? Anyway, Rowan hit Jay with a power slam splash combo. Bryan and Rowan put Jay in sort of this series of submission holds. Like Rowan did a lot of vice grips and Ionian nerve grabs, and Bryan obviously did like a surfboard, and he did something else with the legs too. I just can't think of what it was now. He did like an inverted Boston Crab at one point. Jimmy eventually tagged in. He hit Rowan with a Phoenix Splash. Rowan hit a double suplex on both Usos. Daniel Bryan countered an Uso splash into a label lock, but Jimmy broke that up. And then there was some shenanigans on the outside of the ring. Both Usos eventually super kicked Bryan and hit the double Uso splash for the 3 count and the victory. So the Usos win. A bit of a surprise, especially given that Rowan and Bryan just won their tag team championships. But again, this was a non-title match, so who knows exactly what they're planning for the future here. And now moving on to the show proper, we have the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match to start things off. Dana Brooke versus Naomi versus Bayley versus Carmella versus Ember Moon versus Mandy Rose versus Natalya versus not Alexa Bliss, but Nikki Cross. Alexa Bliss got a concussion this week, so she's back in the concussion protocol again. I hope she gets better, really, I do. So right off the bat, Cross tied up Carmella and Dana Brooke in the ring apron and started beating on them. Bayley, Naomi, and Mandy got taken out with a ladder, and then afterwards by Nikki Cross. Dana climbed a ladder, but Ember and Bayley were fighting over trying to set it up, and Dana immediately ran and tried to climb the ladder and sneak away with the briefcase. Natalya and Mandy sandwiched Bayley in a ladder. At some point, Carmella got injured and left the match and then came back at another point. I don't know exactly what was going on there because she didn't win. I'll tell you that right now. The big spot that everyone's going to talk about is Ember Moon hit Natalya with an eclipse off of a ladder from outside the ring. She jumped over to the top rope and into it. After that, Sonya Deville basically tried to literally carry Mandy Rose up the... Mandy Rose got knocked out with something. I can't remember what. But yeah, Sonya Deville literally put Mandy on her shoulders and began carrying her up the ladder. And then they immediately ran into Bayley, who was on top of the ladder as well. She shoved both of them off. And Bayley pulled down the briefcase to win the Money in the Bank. And this will pay off later. After that, we have Well, let's talk, before I go on to the next match, let's talk about, this was a great match, I would say, to kick off the show, but we had a match before that. But this is probably the best women's Money in the Bank ladder match there was. I mean, granted, we only had technically 4, but we at least, like, this one I think felt more complete, and definitely gave the fans something they wanted to see in this case, with Bayley winning it. Okay, our next match is the United States Championship match, Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, with Dominic watching diagonally on the TV backstage. And right off the bat, Joe landed a couple of big kicks to Rey's bad knees. Rey hit a senton. Joe, in the process, he broke Joe's nose. And then Joe tried to go for a move, but Rey got him in a Hurricane Rana into the roll-up for the 3 count of the victory. And this was a ref botch, big time. Joe's shoulder was clearly up the whole time. And yet the ref still counted to 3, which didn't make a look like even Rey had no idea what the hell was going on. And then afterwards, Dominic came down to celebrate, but then Joe attacked both of them, and he beat up Rey some more as Dominic looked on. Boy, this is a disappointment. I mean, one, I don't understand taking the championship off of Joe. Like, the only thing I can think of is, again, this had to have been a goof, because that you could at least then do the, Joe attacking the family afterwards. Again, like, you need to elevate these championships. You're introducing yet another championship that right now I'm not entirely sure we need, and again, like, this is just confusing. Okay, after this we had the steel cage match between Shane McMahon and The Miz. Shane immediately tried to leave the cage right off the bat. Miz came back, landed some ick kicks. Miz grabbed Shane and Shane grabbed Miz and tossed him into the cage. At this point, Cole actually referenced Shane winning the World Cup of Wrestling, which was, or the WWE World Cup, or whatever it was called, the back of that Saudi show last year. It's like, this is the first time they've referenced that in months. They usually just say he's the best in the world, and that's it. Shane hit a torture rack neck breaker. Miz countered the coast to coast into a figure 4. Shane tried to, while he was in the figure 4, tried to work his way towards the door. The door was open. Somehow he grabbed a chair. I don't know where he got a folding chair from, but okay. Got that in the ring, but The Miz got his hands on it and hit Shane several times with the chair. Miz then hit an SKF onto the skull-crushing finale onto the chair. He had Shane covered, but then the ref called for a rope break, which shouldn't exist in a cage match. Again, I think something happened here. There was some goof, because maybe Shane was supposed to kick out and he wasn't. I can't entirely tell. But after that, Miz went for a super SKF, but Shane fought out of it. Miz tossed Shane off the cage and hit a frog splash for a 2 count. Shane fought out of that, locked on the triangle, but Miz got out of that. Both men got up to the top of the cage and were fighting. Miz was trying to superplex Shane off of the cage, but in the process, Shane's shirt slipped off, and Shane fell to the outside of the ring to win the match. Again, it was a decent match right up until all the wonkiness started, and then it just died. Especially since this is a feud that calls for 50-50 booking. Miz really should have won this match. Oh boy. I already said that. Also, between these matches, I'll say right now, there was this backstage segments where Sami Zayn was worried that Braun Strowman was going to attack him, but Triple H said, don't worry, Strowman's been banned from the building, yet Strowman did pop up for the building looking for Sami Zayn, and then Sami Zayn was found unconscious and strung up by his feet, and Triple H thought it was Strowman, and he basically said, look, I'm not going to ask security yet. I'm not going to ask security to escort you out. I'm not going to ask you to, okay, I'm not going to yell at you. Just leave. Just get out of here. And so Strowman goes, okay, but I didn't do it. He actually denied it. And then we got a Velveteen Dream vignette, and it was just a promo for next week's NXT. So no, he's not getting called up. After that, we have the Cruiserweight Championship match, Tony Nese versus Ariya Daivari. Daivari actually came out in a Mercedes, so I guess he's the new Alberto Del Rio? Or is he the new JBL? After that, starting things off, Nese dodged a lariat and hit a series of kicks. At some point, I think Daivari got a thumb to Nese's eye, Nice fought out of an inverted Boston Crab, and Daivari got tossed into the turnbuckle. Daivari hit a full Nelson into a death drop DDT. Daivari hit an underhook toss from the top rope, only got a 2 count on it. Nice came back at a 450 for a 2 count. Daivari hit a super kick hammerlock lariat combo, and then but Nice got to the ropes. Nice hit a Hurricane Run off the top rope, which sent Daivari into the position for Nice to hit the running Nice for the 3 count and the victory. A good solid match here in the middle of the show. I think it felt really nice. Unfortunately, the crowd was just not entirely into it, and I think that wound up hurting this in the long run. Okay, moving on, we have the Raw Women's Championship match, Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans came out with kind of like this Western cowboy get-up she had on, and when she took off her skirt, she pulled out 2 guns that shot dollar bills with her picture on them out of the audience. That was weird. Becky opened up by whipping Lacey into the barricade. Lacey came back in an arm wringer, began to go after Becky's arm to neutralize and disarm her. Lacey hit a slingshot elbow drop. Becky hit a flying forearm from the second rope. Becky hit a missile drop kick. Lacey hit a jumping knee. Becky fought out of a roll-up attempt. Now this is another weird wrestling bit. Lacey had Becky in a roll-up for the 3 count. 1, and then suddenly like the ref stopped as if Becky had her shoulder up, but she didn't actually. She actually had her, she was down for about 4 seconds. But then Becky rolled out of it enough to lock on the disarmer, and Lacey immediately tapped. As Becky started to leave, it's then that Charlotte came out to start the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Just a second. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. So Charlotte immediately drove Becky into the corner and was beating on her. Becky flipped Charlotte off the top rope. Charlotte dodged an enziguri and went and locked on a Boston Crab. Becky fought out of that, dodged a big boot and hit a flying forearm. At one point, Charlotte went for the natural selection on the ring apron, but Becky rolled out of the way. Charlotte fell to the outside of the ring. As the ref was administering the 10 count, Lacey Evans came down and hit the women's right on Becky. Charlotte got in the ring, went for a move, but Becky countered it into a small package. But Charlotte got out of that, hit the big boot for the 3 count and the victory. Charlotte Flair is now SmackDown Women's Champion, and I think they jumped the gun on this. I don't like that they, at some point Becky was probably going to lose to Charlotte, but I think I thought it was too soon for that. I thought, maybe push it more towards like SummerSlam or something. Just, let that WrestleMania thing have an effect to it. Don't just take it off there the first chance there was. At this point, Lacey Evans and Charlotte began beating up on Becky, and then Bayley's music hits. Bayley tosses Lacey Evans out of the ring. Charlotte goes for a spear, but Bayley dodges it and sends Charlotte into the ring post. At that point, Bayley finally decided, I am cashing in the Money in the Bank, so she did. Charlotte was still very much out of it when this happened, and Bayley hit a top rope elbow drop for the 3 count and the victory, so now Bayley is the SmackDown Women's Champion. So at least that had a better feeling to the ending of that. It got the belt onto Bayley, and I guess this way Bayley could still be a baby face, even though I thought they were really building towards a heel turn for her, so I don't know what's going to happen now. It seemed natural to set her up for a heel turn, but then again, they've been kind of setting up a heel turn for the past 2 years. It just hasn't happened. After this, this is quick, trust me, we have Roman Reigns versus Elias. Reigns was shown walking through the backstage area. Elias slipped up behind him and took him out with the guitar. Elias then went out to the ring, grabbed an electric guitar, sang an entire song, billowing Hartford, began to leave when Reigns came out, hit the Superman punch on the top of the ramp, got Elias back in the ring, hit a spear for the 3 count of victory. That was it. It was entertaining, I'll say that. I mean, it's not the most spectacular match of the night. This isn't a 5-star work rate thing, but it had its moments. Okay, our next match is the WWE Universal Championship match, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Right off the bat, Rollins went for a 2-legged takedown, but AJ managed to counter that into a head scissors takeover. Rollins whipped Styles right into the turnbuckle, like chest first, took it full onto his sternum. Rollins hit a flatliner into the turnbuckle. Styles came back in and running knee off the apron. Styles hit a hangman drop, but then Rollins used that to make into a rebound suicide dive. Rollins hit a sling blade and then a springboard clothesline. Styles countered a Revolution knee attempt into the Higurashi neckbreaker. Styles hit a rack bomb. Rollins hit a reverse superplex Falcon Arrow combo. Instead of his normal superplex Falcon, he did a reverse superplex and then did kind of like a sort of brainbuster type move. And then Styles hit a moonsault death drop DDT. Styles countered a curb stomp into the calf crusher. Rollins dodged a Pele kick attempt, went for the curb stomp, but got countered into the Styles Clash. Only got a 2 count on that. That was an amazing move. AJ went for the phenomenal forearm, but Rollins countered that into a super kick, and then he hit... he hit the Revolution knee, then he hit a super kick, and then he hit the curb stomp for the 3 count. Afterwards, Styles started to leave the ring. He came back in, and he offered his hand in congratulations to Seth, and Seth shook it, and that's all that happened. No heel turn, but we'll get to that. And then we had kind of a weird thing happen, and they announced this 6-man tag match that they hadn't announced before. Lucha House Party comes out. They start saying, all right, we're getting ready for a Lucha House Party, and then Lars Sullivan music hits, and he beats up Lucha House Party guys. Yeah, that's great. The guy you just fined a fairly large sum of money because of racist comments he made came out and beat up 3 Latino guys. Okay, so that leads us into the next match, which is the WWE Championship match, Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens. This case, Xavier Woods stayed back to watch diagonally on TV. The two immediately began brawling after the bell rang. Kofi whipped Owens into the barricade. Owens hit a running senton on Kofi. Owens hit a frog splash off the ring apron after he whipped Kofi into the cameraman as they were brawling on the outside. He then hit a frog splash off the ring apron to the outside of the ring. Kofi fought out of a powerbomb attempt and tossed Owens into the turnbuckle. Owens countered a boom drop into a Boston Crab. Kofi hit a flying double stomp on the ring apron. Owens countered the trust fall into a super kick on the outside of the ring. Kofi managed to hit an SOS for a 2 count. Owens countered a Trouble in Paradise into another Boston Crab, and then he hit a pop-up power bomb, but Kofi managed to just get his hand to the ropes. Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise, which knocked Owens out of the ring, and so he couldn't quite get the pin. Another time, Owens hit another move. I think it was another super kick that knocked Kofi down, and Owens then proceeded to rip off Kofi's shoes, I guess hoping that way would neutralize the Trouble in Paradise. But Kofi still managed to hit the Trouble in Paradise for the 3 count and the victory. Both these major championship matches were really well done. I mean, they were them and the Women's Money in the Bank match, and to an extent the 3, I guess, Women's Championship matches were helped bringing the show up because there were some really weird spots in between. And I think that they were kind of help saving the show. And I say that because, let's face it, the next match is the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton versus Finn Balor versus Ricochet versus Ali versus not Sami Zayn. In fact, no one came out, so they just went on with 7 guys. And Strowman was nowhere to be seen as well. Right off the bat, Orton back suplexed Ali, Ricochet, and Balor onto the announce table. Orton was trying to climb the ladder. Andrade hit a missile dropkick onto it, knocking it over. Corbin and McIntyre were working together throughout most of the match, tossing guys around, hitting some big points. Balor hit a dropkick on McIntyre, his corner dropkick that knocked McIntyre back into a ladder, and then a sling blade on Corbin. Andrade hit and again, probably the spot of the match, Andrade did a sunset flip power bomb that was on the ladder. It sent Balor off of onto a bridged ladder, and Balor hit the ladder, went straight up into the air, and then hit the ladder again. It really hurt his elbow. You could tell he lost feeling in his hand because he was shaking his arm the rest of the match. Ali hit a reverse run on Ricochet. He then hit a Spanish fly on Andrade off of a ladder. Corbin then chokeslammed Ali through a table. McIntyre came out and Corbin immediately tossed McIntyre over the ring barricade. So yeah, that ended that alliance. McIntyre came back and struck Corbin with a Claymore kick after Corbin hit a deep six on Ricochet to the outside of the ring. Corbin, as he turned, McIntyre hit Andrade with a reverse sidewalk slam on the Balor, who was sitting on the ladder. Orton hit the RKO on McIntyre off of the ladder. Ali starts to climb the ladder, gets all the way to the top, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits. I guess we knew who attacked Sami Zayn now, and Lesnar immediately comes in, tosses Ali aside, and climbs up and grabs the briefcase. Your Money in the Bank winner is Brock Lesnar. I'm sick of Brock. I know they were going to do at the Saudi show a Brock Lesnar rematch. I'm now terrified. I mean, I guess this way Brock Lesnar gets his rematch. I am now terrified that he's going to win back the Universal Championship. I'm not watching the Saudi show. I learned my lesson from last year. No more. We're not doing that anymore. No Saudi shows. Maybe if they do an Australian show, I'll be for it, but no Saudi shows. And yeah, unfortunately, that just really wrecked this show for me. I was having fun. Most of the match, I thought, again, like I said, the two major championship matches, the women's championship matches, pretty much everything involving the women was great. The men's ladder match was great too, right up until the end, and now I have a sour taste in my mouth. It has ruined this show for me. And again, if Lesnar's done, if Lesnar wins the championship again, I might just drop this because I'll drop this and subscribe to New Japan World or something else. Cover ROH. I mean, it might not get the views, but it's got to be better than more Lesnar. I'm so sick of Lesnar. Like, you can't swear on YouTube anymore, so I'll try to keep everything in check. But yeah, I'm going to give Money in the Bank 2019 a D. On the plus side, we do get another NXT TakeOver, NXT TakeOver 25. It's on June 1st. Like I said, I'm not covering the Saudi show. Hopefully, if everything works out and Lesnar doesn't win the championship, Stomping Ground is the next one after that. That's on the 23rd of June, I believe. Hopefully this can be saved. I don't know. I think I already said I gave the show a D. Anyway, this weekend I'm going to try to pull a double feature movie. Well, not double feature. I'm going to try to do 2 movie reviews this weekend, and of course the next random trade review is on the first volume of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. See you all next time. Are you tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me expand my wrestling coverage? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. Also, remember, if you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.